There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere.
White savior complex. What does that actually mean? Well, in short, it's a white person that depicts themselves as an ally that helps uplift and rescue black people. With their magical superpower, white privilege. They believe it's their duty to fight racism because silence is violence. And if they don't speak up against it, they are complicit. This is getting to such an extreme point that these white liberals and saviors are so self-righteous, they lecture black folk on how they should interpret, believe, or experience racism. Shit's wild. The first example I want to take a look at is this No Samson guy.
Okay, my fear here is that videos like this open up the possibility, not just ideologically, but algorithmically, that people may be swayed into far-right thinking by starting with this seemingly innocuous interpretation of an anti-black controversy. Upon hearing this take from a creator who is co-opting the aesthetics of nuance without actually functionally providing that nuance, viewers may be pushed into anti-woke and eventually far-right echo chambers without realizing it until it's too late. If your content leans anti-woke, it's only a matter of time before YouTube plugs you in with some of the channels that we looked at today. And
this mindset in America, in the Western world, is a sickness. It is deviant, and we do not want it.
Let me give some background. He's an NPC white liberal that makes the typical LED light commentary videos about how racism's bad, misogyny evil, and progressive good. He made one of his videos about a black creator that goes by the name of Patience, and whoo, was it ever a banger. Not in a good way for him though. Bro exposed his condescending, self-righteous, and all-around, like Malcolm X said, fox-like attitude when it comes to black issues. Now let me give you some more context. Patience had made a video about how she does not like the race swaps that are prevalent in pop culture, specifically using The Little Mermaid as the latest example. And Noah slapped back with a critical, well thought out and decisive response. Bro basically got in front of the camera for 26 minutes telling her why she should accept the scraps the white man is giving her. He half-assedly addressed the point she made about original black stories, and instead accused her of blowing racist dog whistles.
They've been co-opted by people who definitely don't care about black stories and used as a thin mask to hide their racist dog whistling. And I just want more people to understand that that is what's going on. That is what you're propping up when you use this argument against the casting of a black actor.
It's 2022 and we still have these pasty white liberals that have had zero interaction with people of color, saying they are blowing racist dog whistles. This video was all around a perfect example of a white liberal upset that a blackie fell out of line. Better enjoy The Little Mermaid. We made her dark like you. It's pretty important that political discourse has boiled down to such identity-based topics. And the fact that a white liberal thinks a black person speaking about race is automatically political is insane to me.
However, once things enter the political realm, as I feel that they have in this video, with it being a discussion of race and ethics and media,
only a white person with zero black friends would ever think that race is automatically political. Cause you ain't ever have any real life encounters with race, only political and racial debates on Twitter. He also goes on to say that woke means black, or when people say woke, they mean black people. Also, he can disingenuously imply that if you're anti-woke, you want to eradicate black people.
girl. Woke there is being used as a stand-in for black, which is a fairly common thing among the reactionary crowd. You know, if you're white, you're just white, but if you're not white, you're political, you're woke. Coincidentally for them, wokeness is an evil force that's corrupting Western society, and they're trying to exterminate it, but I digress.
Crazy mental gymnastics. This next example I would like to take a look at is this interview between Jesse Lee Patterson and Dave Explains. The debate or discussion is just basically around the validity of racism in America. Now, I want to say that I do not agree with either side of this debate. The only thing I do agree with is the fact that a black man should be able to speak his mind on racism, regardless of what white folk think.
There's no such thing as racism at all. It has always been a lie, and it's a lie today.
Got it, we'll kick it over to Dave.
Okay, I mean, that's a, wow. You just said that you grew up on a plantation and racism doesn't exist. So you grew up where slavery happened, where black people were enslaved by white people, and you're a black person and you grew up in the Jim Crow laws and you're saying racism doesn't exist. I mean, that just like, it's hard for me to compute the cognitive dissonance that's overflowing in that statement. I don't know if you can clarify.
Although it's kind of crazy for Jesse to say that racism has never existed, that's his experience. If he never experienced racism directly, then you can't say that it's untrue. For a pasty white man to come in and say that he has cognitive dissonance because he's not victimizing himself to the white man is pretty absurd to me. We have this fair-skinned gentleman right here trying super hard to convince black folk that they're inferior, victims. I do believe that acknowledging racism is a must, and looking at history and seeing where we fucked up is necessary. But I do think there's a line that needs to be drawn. At some point, the obsession with racism and how it affects you really just takes away personal accountability. At some point, it really just becomes a romanticization of oppression rather than an actual healthy conversation. Somewhere along the line, we gotta look at ourselves and our own decisions. Because if there's people that look like you, talk like you, and come from where you came from and they're still successful, then there's no amount of racism in this world that can stop you. So for a white man to sit here and try to force down the idea of oppression down a black man's throat is fucking crazy. And the most fucked up part about it is that these white people are doing it out of empathy. All these social justice movements that come and go, they're really just to keep you distracted. The most powerful people at the top use things like empathy to manipulate you into believing bullshit and nothingness so you stay broke. That's why we have all these white liberals running around telling black people that they should be oppressed even though they don't feel that. We have people that are supposed to be allies of the LGBTQ community speaking to them like this.
As a trans person is the fact that you, a guy that isn't super well versed on trans shit, brought on a known transphobe knowing he might bring up transphobic shit. You aren't exactly a Vosh at trans debates. I hope that the rest of your life is as horrible as it is every single day, okay? There you go. You are just a trans person. Sorry, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It's a wild world we live in. These white liberals are so empathetic for black people, they telling us how to think. Let's take a quick trip back to 2020.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility. I take responsibility for every unchecked moment, for every time it was easier to ignore than to call it out for what it was. I take responsibility. Black people are being slaughtered in the streets, killed in their own homes. These are our brothers and sisters, our friends, our family. We are done watching them die.
Let's not act like that just ended racism. Police brutality is still the same. Just take a look at this video from a couple months ago.
Get out of the car.
Kid in his car eating burger getting shot at by police. But since he's fair-skinned, the elites can't use it to divide us. If you see something political on TikTok or Instagram, please don't just blindly support. If the reason you're at a protest starts with "I read a tweet," just go home. Please don't let your empathy be manipulated into believing bullshit political opinions. Be your own fucking person, not just a different color Minecraft villager. At the end of the day, white savior complex is basically this. When a black person claims to not experience or care about racism, it offends the white liberal personally, due to the fact that their whole identity is based off of fighting racial injustices. So when a minority claims to not care about said injustices, the white liberal feels as if their works mean nothing. So they try to justify their belief and ideology to that minority, therefore justifying and validating their action. It's a mental illness.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Congratulations.
Congratulations!
Congratulations.
Congratulations!
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations!
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you all.